Altered Alma. Welcome back to Demo, the show where we review demos of the latest demos. In today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at Altered Alma, a Metroidvania-style 2D pixel art, side-scrolling action-adventure game set in the mesmerizing landscape of Neo-Barcelona. This is a classic-style, high-intensity Metroidvania with the expected upgradable attacks and modifications to the player arsenal that makes progression feel earned and satisfying. With a responsive control scheme, snappy traversal mechanics, and a parry system, Altered Alma provides the right groundwork for a solid action-adventure game while paying homage to the greats of the genre. All in all, the total package is very sure of its intentions. The dystopian cyberpunk artwork is well made, and the hand-drawn pixel art serves the theme well. Frame-by-frame animation and painstaking attention to detail definitely set this title apart from some of the games in the same space. Altered Alma utilizes a gritty take on the dystopian cyberpunk theme, with a nice mix of particle effects for attack flair and a 3D lighting engine that helps add an effective layer of shading and dimension to the scenes. Everything is animated to feel like a living world, from the background elements to the hanging wires and various display screens, and helps sit the game's setting into a place as a vibrant and breathing world. The atmospheric, electro-centric soundtrack certainly fleshes out the setting of the game and helps to establish the overall futuristic desolation using spacey synths and tingling sequencers to give a sort of living organic technology to the audio presentation. The game kicks into these triumphant moments of retro wave and soaring synth themes that inspire hope in the hero and drive the player to keep fighting. All of the sword slashes and parry noises sound sharp and weighty, as well as the UI selection blips and boops give off the feel of operating a pocket device. Enemy collisions have a nice deep crunch to them, and nothing really gets too loud or in your face that would make you wince or turn your volume down. Everything that you'd expect to have a sound has a sound, and all seems to fit into the theme well. The blending of the two definitely play off of each other and add to the overall game feel of a cyber-fueled dystopic wasteland. It speaks to the quality of the curation that at no point does the selection of sounds take me out of the game or make me feel separated from the immersion. Take a listen to the atmosphere here. Playing on controller feels properly mapped. Every action is mapped to the right buttons that you'd come to expect over the years playing games in this genre. From the slashes to the dashes, with some few exceptions, having certain common functions mapped to the shoulder buttons, which can feel a bit complicated to adjust to. However, the keyboard mapping is a bit of a different story. The movement is mapped to the WASD setup, leaving the attack functions to be mapped to K and L keys, and the dash mapped to Shift. Though this does mimic the way functions are laid out on the controller, it feels a bit disjointed from the usual keyboard mapping one might expect, where arrow keys control the movement, leaving the function keys to the left side of the keyboard. The skill level in this game is interesting because the combat does feel responsive and satisfying, and even mixes things up with a modifiable skill button and parry system. And then introducing the plasma dagger, which allows the character to essentially teleport dash to nearby walls and ceilings, which opens up a very enjoyable teleport-based platforming challenge throughout sections. As far as the demo goes, through multiple playthroughs and a bit of focus, I did find a flow developing, at least on controller, where the gameplay made sense, and attacking a room of enemies and platforming challenges was something to look forward to rather than dread, which is the sign of a good game design. I can definitely see this game getting comfortable as it progresses and opens up new skills and abilities to use. While not being a roguelike that is based solely on its replayability value, Altered Alma certainly seems to offer a fully fleshed out experience, with many upgrades to discover and boss fights to overcome. Altered Alma follows in the footsteps of any good Metroidvania, with progression-based unlocks, evolving combat, and challenging platforming that forces the player to think on their feet and make tense decisions that can result in satisfying spats of action. While this isn't reinventing the wheel by any means, the saying, "if it ain't broke, don't fix it," will always come to mind when paying respects to a genre. It is a genre for a reason after all. While not exactly breaking the mold, Altered Alma does find its footing by being one of only a few to capture the dystopian cyber flair of a Blade Runner-style setting without relying on ranged gun-based combat. Altered Alma's strengths are its enticing action and beautifully done pixel graphics, with a great soundtrack and well-animated cutscenes that help to drive the otherwise tropic story of revenge in this cyber-focused adventure game. Its cons, however, are a slightly unintuitive control mapping and a bit of a learning curve that can feel like too much too soon, at least in this demo, that might cause the player to feel overwhelmed. Tutorial density aside, the game has a lot of promise. I had a great time exploring this demo, and though there can always be room for improvement, it's great to see an indie studio tackle a large and cumbersome project like this. Making a good Metroidvania may seem easy, but I can attest that it is not. It is very much a complex layer cake that requires many moving parts to all make sense and play nice in order to deliver a good quality experience for the player. While the foundation might seem simple, it can easily go poorly. Having fresh visuals and enjoyable audio design to kite the player along certainly helps add meat to the somewhat predictable skeleton of action platforming. I would say that whatever the price ends up being, if you're a fan of the cyberpunk style and the classic Metroidvania format, this one is a can't miss. I don't expect it to change the face of platforming, but when all the functional elements work together, the player can just sit back and enjoy the actual story a bit more without having to think about how the game plays and what parts aren't gelling. After some more polish, I can definitely see this being a staple on the Nintendo Switch and good for a quick pick up and play while on the go. Be sure to follow and wishlist the game on Steam to keep up on its release. Thank you for watching this episode of Demo. Look forward to more in the future. Be sure to like and subscribe.